Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey today, Monday, November 21st, 2022. And due to tomorrow is November 22nd, 1963, I wanted to do a special on not John F. Kennedy's assassination, but the rest of the story from Paul Harvey on broken homes and stigma. So, Mr. Harvey, if you hear me up there, and Mr. Dyson, hope you guys like this one. This involved two of Mr. Harvey's stories. And like I said, the story is based on broken homes and stigma. The first one is Edward Thomas. Edward Thomas was a fairly well-known person. He had a good career. And he occasionally had a younger brother that came in, although his younger brother was a disaster. And they had a run, and they were playing Julius Caesar. Nice little play to play as an actor in the mid-19th century. But he played Julius Caesar, and his younger brother played Brutus. Oh boy. If you can't tell about that, then I think the boss himself set this up. Because, boy, I read the play too. About 115 years later, I read the play. Yeah, it was a nice play. 2 years later, Brutus came around and stuck it to the American people. Yes, John Wilkes Booth was Brutus. And with the shot that he resonated through Abraham Lincoln's head, it resonated to Edward Thomas Booth, or as you call them, Edwin Booth, the more notable of the actors. And the stigma of John Wilkes Booth sat with him for the rest of his life. When he died, he had the letter that would have saved his career and reputation, which the stigma was so bad. You know what I mean, people. Some of you had stigmas from different people, whether you were on the wrong side of the tracks, a colored person, an Asian person, whatever. You've had stigmas. Irish, your ancestors, Irish need not apply. Same kind of stigma, no matter what it is. Well, Edwin Booth, about 17 years later after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, was standing on this train. And lo and behold, this young lad, he was on the train, and, well, you know how people at the platform get. They inadvertently pushed the young lad down, and here comes the train. Well, Edwin, he tried everything he could. Finally, he put one of his legs on this pole to get himself there, and he stretched his long arm, grabbed the kid by the shirt collar, and pulled him up. He composed himself. The kid had shock on his face, but he still overcame his shock and recognized who it was. Mr. Edwin Booth, I love your place. And I thank you for saving my life. He got a piece of paper out, wrote this, gave it to Mr. Booth. Mr. Booth didn't know who he was. But the kid knew who he was. He was Edwin Booth. He got home, read the note, appreciative to him. A long letter that he wrote on there because it took the kid a long time to write it. And Mr. Booth was patient at that train station to wait for it. And he did. And the letter was signed Robert Todd Lincoln. So here's the irony, Americans. The stigma that you put on Edwin Booth. One brother kills his father, the other brother saves the son. Todd Lincoln lived a not long life, but longer than everybody else by their standards then. He oversaw his father's Springfield back in 1902 burial get redone again the right way. And he oversaw his father be opened and redone to make sure that he actually got murdered. Yes, how could you stand that? But he did. And Mr. Booth, who died in 1893, that letter was found on his coat pocket still when he died. It was always on his coat pocket. The next story is about Leslie King. Leslie King's family on his father's side was very much noted in Nebraska. His grandfather in the 1880s had set up a lot of towns, banks, and everything going down the line on the railroad. But his mother and father had a disagreement, and he became part of what is known today as a broken home. His mother didn't get anything, and he was in perpetual poverty. She married a nice guy. Leslie, he went about his business. He became a nice little kid. And 17 years later, his father showed up again. Hello, Leslie, I'm your father. Yeah. So he had lunch with his father, and his father asked him to take him back to Nebraska to reap the benefits of being his son. Leslie thought most of the day about it, and he told his father no. 3 years later, he again went to his father in Nebraska, stayed 3 days, came back, told his mother no. He did not want to be part of that treasure. He could have had a nice, simple life. I mean, a very distinguished life with benefits and money. But he declined it. He went to school, my alma mater. He did. He was a good football player, so I hear. It was before my time, because he was born in 1913. But Leslie King became a nice person who, until his death, everybody growled at him because he did something that they didn't like. And he was a nice person, which he had to do what he did. Yes, American, Leslie King. You know him by the name of Gerald R. Ford, his adopted father's name. 38th President of the United States, and you hate him for pardoning Richard Nixon. So you see, stigma is terrible on both sides. It was terrible for Edwin Booth, and it shouldn't be deserved by Gerald R. Ford because he had to do what he had to do. Sitting in for Paul Harvey, this is your favorite alien. I hope you guys learned a lesson on stigma today. Good day.